fill us in on this year's most popular gifts. Phil, what are they going to run out of first?
Oh, beautiful, isn't it, Don? I don't know what they're going to run out of first. I think they're going to run out of everything before it's all over, judging by the crowds here. But there are, of course, some favorites. We didn't do any shopping today. We browsed, which is to say we shopped to see what the real shoppers were shopping for. Since the phenomenal success of Cabbage Patch dolls a couple of Christmases ago, several other dolls have hit the market. One of the most popular, Pound Puppies. But one of the busiest aisles in the toy stores is where the not-so-cuddly Transformer robots are. What is it?
The triple bot.
What does it do?
He transforms into three things.
What does he become?
A jet plane, a tank, and a person.
And one aisle over, there is a huge new interest among youngsters in pro wrestling.
I like how they throw people around.
I see. What are you going to do with Hulk Hogan and Big John Studd at home?
Well, I just pretend that they're doing the wrestling matches.
A reminder that because Thanksgiving was late in November this year, Christmas is now only 26 days away, gentlemen.
Now, Phil admitted, as long as you were out there today, weren't you just a little bit tempted to get some shopping out of the way?
Yeah, but you see, the boss said I had to do this.
Okay. Thanks, Phil.
I think I hear Santa Claus laughing in the background there.
Opening in 1976, Orland Square is the largest enclosed mall in Chicago's South Side region, with almost 1.3 million square feet. Since the beginning, it has been a major retail hub for the area, which saw a 250% population increase from 1970 to 1980. While it has had some struggles that other malls have had as well in recent years, it continues to operate as the premier shopping destination of Chicago's southwest suburbs. If you know Ruin Road, you know we value our privacy. But in our personal life, it's not always easy to maintain. Whether we know it or not, sites will mine our data like full name, email, health records, and more, which they will sell to scammers, spammers, and anyone else who wants to snoop. That's why we started using Aura, the sponsor of today's video. Aura shows us which data brokers are selling our personal information and automatically submits opt-out requests on our behalf. This not only reduces the amount of spam you'll get, but protects against hackers who can use this information to gain access to our social media, bank accounts, and other sensitive information. Aura also provides a ton of other features bundled into one easy-to-use app at an affordable price. You get antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without needing to bother with different apps. We all have one or more of these tools already, but not having Aura is like locking the front door and leaving the back door wide open. And if you're a regular viewer, you'll know how often that happens. Like 24-hour security, motion sensors, and guard dogs, Aura is always on, doing the hard work of keeping my info safe so I can focus on other tasks with peace of mind. Relaxing. Ruin Road values our privacy, and we also value yours. Go to aura.com/ruinroad to start a free 2-week trial, also linked below in the description. Plans for the mall in Orland Park date back to 1971, when the land was purchased, and Sears and Marshall Fields would open their anchor in March 1976. For Sears, Winnie the Pooh and Miss Illinois would be in attendance, while drawings were held for shoppers to win one of 18 diamonds.
The world record holder Can-Am Porsche 917 race car was also on display in the Sears Auto Center. The main mall would open with little fanfare on July 28, 1976, with 55 of the approximate 145 shops opening. It was noted that the exact amount was still tentative, based on the remaining 35% of merchants either negotiating or still available on how much space they would take up. The mall was designed to be a unique shopping experience, most notably with 6 bird cages installed in the center court along with flowers, trees, plants, and skylights to give a natural feeling. Another innovative design for the time was the food court concept, which would not gain popularity in malls for over a decade later. In August, an 11-day event was held with trampoline shows, appearances by Miss Susan from Sesame Street, and Fred the Cockatoo Bird from the TV show Beretta. JCPenney would open the 3rd anchor in spring 1977, and Carson Scott would take up the empty 4th anchor soon thereafter. The 2nd annual Back to School Days event would feature Willy Wonka's Candymobile, a marionette version of The Wizard of Oz, and shows by Frisbee group called the Aces. The mall was an immediate success and was topping its projected $100 million annual sales volume, which made up just under half of the village's total sales tax revenue. A unique story came about while the mall was still being built. In January 1975, a woman in the next-door subdivision reported seeing a UFO in the sky. The Civil Aeronautics Board would state a pair of jet fighters had been in the area that night, which they would also state occurred the following month when more reports over the country club came in. 1 year earlier, a helicopter was said to be the cause of other UFO reports, though the Orland Park police chief was one of those who spotted the noiseless craft and disputed it was a helicopter. Into the 80s, the mall continued to be a hub for events and shows. In 1982, AM Chicago filmed 5 broadcasts live from the mall and brought in 3 soap opera actors as special appearances. The mall would sponsor a LEGO Expo in 1984 to be held here, which brought in LEGO recreations of landmarks around the world and had building competitions. That same year, a restaurant owner in the mall would be arrested after he was found to have falsely reported an armed robbery of his business earnings in the parking lot. JCPenney would remodel their anchor, with Miss USA cutting the ribbon for the grand reopening in November 1986, followed by Marshall Field's renovating in 1990, holding a grand reopening gala fundraising event for the South Suburbia Crisis Center. 1 year later, the Robert Morris College opened a full-service campus on an outparcel in the mall. The first major crime that I could find to occur here would not happen until 1991. Previously, most crimes consisted of shoplifting or a woman caught using a stolen credit card who was then found to have been carrying a quantity of Valium on her. But that year, 3 people would steal $1,600 worth of clothing from the mall and flee. During their getaway, they ran a red light and fatally struck 2 pedestrians. Orland Mall was noted as being one of the strongest regional shopping centers in the Chicago area by 1994 when they announced a complete $10 million renovation of the interior, which would redesign the entrances, upgrade lighting fixtures, add imported Italian marble flooring, remodel the food court, and finally redesign the center court, changing the original all-glass elevator into a clock tower design, and likely removing the bird cages at this time, though the last mention I found of them came from 1987. Initially, the renovations were set to finish that November, but delays would push it until February the next year. Since renovation work began, shoplifting reports seemed to increase, and in 1996, 5 teenagers from a group home were visiting the mall when they would get in a fight with a security guard after he asked them to remove their hats, which had gang signs on them. In 2000, the former movie theater would be demolished as Robert Morris College expanded their Orland Square campus, adding a new $10 million technology center in place of the cinemas. The following year, Advocate Health would open a primary and urgent care center on an outparcel section of the mall, with a grand opening prize drawing of a 13-inch TV VCR combo. After the White Sox won the World Series, over 1,200 fans lined up in Orland Square for a chance to view the trophy, one of the largest turnouts in its 2-week tour in 2005. In 2008, a knife fight would break out, prompting talks of improving security and even expanding the mall. This year would be the beginning of a wave of concerts geared towards teenagers being held here, which would include Taking Back Sunday, Cody Simpson, Ashley Tisdale, Selena Gomez, and Robert Pattinson. Finally, in 2012, renovations would take place, changing the mall to its current design by changing the entrances, signage, flooring, lighting, a new kids zone, and expanding the food court. The next few years would see Orland Square struggle against online shopping, culminating with both Sears and Carson Scott closing their anchors in 2018. 1 year later, Von Maur would fill the Carson anchor, but that same year, a string of violence would do much to frighten shoppers away.
Right now, a manhunt underway for a shooter who left 1 person dead, 1 person injured at an Orland Park mall. This photo shows first responders trying to save the life of Javon Britton. The 18-year-old was shot last night after an altercation with the gunman inside Orland Square Mall.
20-year-old Jakar Williams of University Park was out on parole on a robbery conviction at the time of that shooting. Police say he knew the 18-year-old who died.
Next, an accident claimed the life of a toddler.
Police say the girl and 4 other family members, 4 other kids, were playing inside that store when the 2 steel walls fell over. Now, this cell phone video was shot inside the mall. Police say the 2-year-old toddler named Alexa Martinez was with her aunt and grandmother in the store, along with 4 other kids. Those kids were her family members when the 2 steel temporary walls somehow fell over.
Finally, in December, a hit-and-run claimed another life.
A woman is dead this morning after she and a friend were hit by a car in a parking lot near Orland Square Mall. And the driver in question didn't stop. The chief of Orland Park Police say officers responded to the scene just after 8 p.m. When witnesses called 911, they found 2 women, one in her 50s, the other in her 60s, laying on the ground. But there were no sign of the driver or the car that hit them.
While many continue to associate Orland Square with violence, since reopening after the 2020 pandemic, the mall is still full of life, continuing on as the center of retail for Orland Park. As the mall approaches its 50-year anniversary, can this vibrant backbone of the village remain as one of the top shops in the region?